Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I am just so excited for this interview. I'm going to be interviewing a Hollywood legend back when actors were actors and stars were stars. And I'm talking about James Drury. Yes, the Virginian himself. A man who was under contract at MGM back in the 50s. I can't believe it. It's just going to be so exciting. I was supposed to interview him last Friday, but it was Friday the 13th, which means it was bad luck week. Had a lot of cancellations. I've had cancellations this week because of the coronavirus. That was just the tip of the iceberg. But today, I am going to talk with James Drury, and I'm so excited. The man was the Virginian, of course, but he was also in Blackboard Jungle, Forbidden Planet, Pollyanna, Love Me Tender. I mean, he is a legend. I got so much to ask of him. It's going to be really awesome. So, here is my interview with the legendary James Drury.
Hello.
Hi, James. This is Tommy calling to do the interview.
Oh, yes, sir. How are you today?
I am great, sir. How are you?
Doing pretty good. I don't have the virus as far as I know.
That's wonderful, sir. Yeah, I'm getting over a cold myself. Thank God for that.
Where are you located?
Redding, California.
Okay, up in Northern California. Well, it's you're probably better off away from the big centers like LA and San Francisco. You know.
Oh yeah, I'm born and raised in San Francisco.
Out of the country.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in San Francisco, so I'm glad I'm not there right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we talked before at some point.
Oh no, this is the first time we're talking.
Okay, very good.
This is such a wonderful honor, sir. Thank you for taking the time today.
My pleasure.
So, going back in time, did you gravitate toward acting early on in your childhood?
Well, I was kind of really into it. I didn't really have any interest in it at all, but my mother thought that I was should be. She always thought I should be an actor, and my brother as well. And when I was 8 years old, she took me down to a children's theater operation that they had at the Greenwich Settlement House in Sheridan Square in New York City. Mm-hmm. And it was at Christmas time, and they were doing a Christmas play about the Christ child and the whole Christmas story about Jesus and all that.
Yeah.
And I got the part of King Herod. 8 years old, they glued a straight hair beard on me and gave me the long flowing robes. And I knew my words, and I hit my marks. And ran and raved around the stage there. And at the end, the people clapped. And well, if they're going to clap at this, I better find out more about it. So I started studying it, and I went in junior high and high school. I gravitated to drama and studied it constantly. And then when I went to college at NYU, I majored in it at the School of Education. Mm-hmm. And at that time, Randall Somerville was the head of that department, and he was the only man in one of the 2 or 3 men in the country that knew how to teach the playing of Shakespeare, the actual playing of Shakespeare. And so I had a wonderful classical education in Shakespeare and Shaw and Barry and Milne and the classics. And he stood me in good stead in everything I did after that. And at the end of my junior year, I went to California, and in 7 days I had a contract at MGM.
Yeah.
For a 7-year contract, which they promptly dropped me after a year. But they had 7 years, I had a year-to-year contract, basically. But in that first year, I did 7 pictures, and I had a total of 12 lines. So you can imagine how small the parts were.
Yeah.
But I was one of the 2 crewmen that was killed by the invisible monster in Forbidden Planet.
Right.
I played 2 or 3 parts in oh God, what's the name of the picture with Lawrence Turner and Pedro Armendáriz? I was about his mistress. I think it was called Diane. Diane was the name of the picture. And I did a picture with Eleanor Parker. And I did a picture with Frank Sinatra, The Tender Trap, where I played a Hollywood agent that introduced him to Debbie Reynolds. And that was a wonderful thing because that started a lifelong friendship between me and Frank Sinatra, and which I value to this day way above many things. He was a great man to be a friend with, and we had a wonderful time together many times.
Yeah.
But that's the evolution of how I got started. Actually at 8, and went from there. The Sinatra story is kind of interesting. I just in August lost my wife of 43 years.
I'm so sorry.
Before we were married, well, we were married 40 years. We actually were together about 44 years. Mm-hmm. But before we were married, we were in New York one night, and I took her up to Chili's restaurant. Chili Russo was one of Frank's closest friends, childhood friends.
Right.
And he had an Italian restaurant in New York where Frank would hang out when he was in New York. Now, I went there for the Italian food. I had no idea he was in town. But there he was with his whole entourage. So after we were seated, I went over and said hello to him. And I said, Frank, I'm with this gal from Houston, Texas, and I think I'm going to marry her. And I'd like you to just say hello to her if you would. He said, oh, well, bring her over here. So I brought her over to the table. He sat her down across from him, had somebody move, sat her down across from him, and talked to her for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
You can imagine how impressive that is to anybody to be talking to Frank Sinatra for 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It was, in the early 70s or late 70s. So there was a wedding present he gave to me to talk to Carl Ann, and I was always grateful to him for that. That's the kind of thing he did. So.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of great stories. Yeah, I've heard a lot of great stories about Frank Sinatra and what a kind man he was.
He was a true gentleman, and there's a lot of bad stuff said about him out there, but it's all crap as far as I'm concerned. He was never anything but a perfect gentleman with me, and a perfect guy to be friends with. So I really I valued that so much that I was able to do that. But I made good friends with a lot of the people that I worked with over the years, and he was one of them. And it was just such a small part, but we hit it off. So these things happen. You remember The Tender Trap with Debbie Reynolds?
Yeah.
It was a kind of a lightweight picture, but it was very well received. It did very well at the box office, I think, because it had those 2 in it. At the time, they were hotter than a $3 pistol. So it was a very, very good deal to be involved in.
Yeah.
And then from there, I went to Fox. And Fox, I stayed 3 years and only did 3 pictures. I did Elvis Presley's first picture, Let Me Tender.
Let Me Tender.
I was one of his older brothers. And then I was the older brother of Pat Boone in his first picture, which was Bernadine. So that's a dubious distinction that I was the older brother of both those guys in their first pictures.
Yeah.
That's I don't think anybody else could make that claim. But
yeah.
Anyway, I also did a wonderful Western called The Last Wagon with Richard Woodmark.
Yeah.
And we became lifelong friends from that. And so it was just a great ride that I had in the picture business, and I The only thing I could ask for my career is that I could have done more,
Yeah.
But I had the opportunity to do a great deal, and I did. Of course, the Virginian was a wildly ambitious project. No one had ever done a 90-minute show with continuing characters before. We had Playhouse 90 and Hallmark Hall of Fame and that kind of thing, but they were always with, an ensemble cast. They were always anthologies. Mm-hmm. And when the Virginian came along and decided to do it as a 90-minute show, it gave our script writers the chance to write big, important, juicy guest star roles for men and for women. And so we got some of the biggest stars in Hollywood came to do our show. And we always had wonderful people to work with. Tremendous actors and actresses. So we were really fortunate with that because it fulfilled our stories. It made our stories into motion pictures. And basically, a lot of feature films are 90 minutes, and a lot of them are 74 minutes and 37 seconds, and that's what it was with Virginians. 74 minutes and 37 seconds of film versus commercials. So we made 241 90-minute films in the course of the 9 years we were involved. So that's an awful lot of film, an awful lot of pictures, and they still hold up today when they're showing on the Inspiration Channel twice a day. It starts at 11 o'clock in the morning here in Houston and goes till 2 in the afternoon, and then they sometimes show one at 8 o'clock at night as well. So we're getting a lot of exposure, and the website's reflecting it. We're selling a lot of merchandise, and a lot of people are writing in or calling in for autograph pictures and so forth, so we're doing very well with that.
That's great.
We were supposed to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to the big Tulsa Gun Show starting the 1st of April. That's been canceled because of the coronavirus problem. Yeah. And we have a date in the end of April in San Angelo, Texas. It's out in West Texas, and I don't know yet, but I have a feeling it may be canceled because it's only a month away. So the next thing after that is in June, and that's in Tunica, Mississippi, just south of Memphis. It used to be the Memphis Film Festival. It's now the Great Southeast Film Festival, I think they call it. But I don't know if that's going to be canceled or not. So everything's up in the air for us as well as for everybody. But you can get all the information about my schedule on the website, which is virginian.net. And Karen Lindsay, who runs that, is my executive assistant, and she sets up all these dates and does all the contract negotiations and all that. And she's done a wonderful job and has it lined up all out through the summer, but who knows what's going to happen with this virus or how long it's going to be around and how much it's going to take out of everybody's life before it's all done.
I know it's crazy.
It's not a problem that we've ever had before.
Yeah,
I know of. In history, we've had all kinds of plagues and flus and so forth, but nothing ever to this extent where it went absolutely worldwide. It's everywhere. It's there's no continent, there's no place on Earth that hasn't been touched by it or that won't be touched by it as time goes on. So we all have to just take a deep breath and hold on to our seats and see where we go with this. But the main thing is to stay away from other people, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing. I've been home here for the last couple of weeks. I haven't hardly gone out at all. And my daughter does the grocery shopping, and we're just around here, but that's like everybody else in the country. Everybody's got the same problem.
Yeah, I'm very optimistic that we're going to make it.
Oh, I know we'll make it. We'll get through it. But it's going to take its toll, and it's taking its toll in fear and panic right now. You know, look at the stock market's down 10,000 points.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous on the face of it. People ought to just leave their stocks alone. They'll come back. But nobody wants to hear that if they get money in the stock market. They're pulling it out. And
Yeah.
they're getting increasingly diminishing returns from that. So I don't know where that's going to go, but it may go a lot lower before it's over with.
Yeah, we'll see.
So,
when you got to MGM in 1954, who were the big contract player stars?
well, they had Ava Gardner was there, Lana Turner was there. Let's see, Eddie Fisher was there. I know that he was there. Debbie Reynolds was there.
Robert Taylor?
Gene Kelly was there.
Robert Taylor?
Who's that?
Robert Taylor?
Robert Taylor?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was there, and Elizabeth Taylor was there. She was under contract. In fact, that first year I was there, I wanted very much to get a chance to do that picture with her called Raintree County, but I campaigned for it, but nobody would listen to me. I didn't have a chance for it. Montgomery Clift played that role and played it very well. I had a feeling, an affinity for it. I'd read the book, and I liked the material very much, and I wanted to do the picture, but it didn't happen. So that's one of the few regrets I had about my career is that I didn't get to play that in that picture. That's just water under the bridge, you know.
Yeah.
All actors and actresses have parts they aspire to play, and a lot of them don't get the chance to do it. And on the other hand, I got a chance to play with Virginian, and I think they auditioned 70 different actors for that role, and I got it. So I'm very grateful for that. And I certainly had a wonderful run in that show, and enjoyed every minute of it. It was great to be involved in that kind of groundbreaking television, and we did our level best to make it good. And I guess it's still viable because they're still watching it every day, and you know, record numbers of watchers. So what's gratifying to me is that a lot of grandkids are watching it now. You know, kids 10 and 11 years old are writing me letters saying they just discovered the show and they love it and they're watching it every chance they get. And that's really important because those young people can't get those lessons anywhere else, really.
No.
Nowadays, they can in a Western. A Western's a morality play, and they have to show the triumph of good over evil. And we did that in spades every 90-minute show. So that's something they need to be watching that and have a sense of the triumph of good over evil and the triumph of right over wrong. I think it's great that it's on the air for that reason, if no other. So that makes me a happy man.
That's good. Your first movie, you played a hospital attendant in Blackboard Jungle.
That's right. Two words. Anne Francis's landlady came to the hospital to bring her a little suitcase full of things when she was having Glenn Ford's baby, and she stepped up to this guy in a white coat and handed him the suitcase, and he said, "Thank you," and stepped out of the shop, and that was it. That was me. And that was the first movie. So you have to start someplace, and that was it. And then I got to know Glenn Ford from that, and we became good friends. I had rehearsed, all the boys, all the people in the high school class where Glenn held sway and spent most of the time in the show in that classroom. We had many, many scenes in there, and they needed somebody to rehearse all the other actors. So I played Glenn Ford's role in the rehearsals, And when Glenn got there, he was doing another picture. And when he arrived on the set, they were all ready to go for him. And he found out that I had been rehearsing him and came and thanked me profusely. And I'll never forget that. He was so sweet to me. And then he went ahead and, we were good friends for the next 65 years, or whatever it was, until he passed away.
Yeah.
So it was a great way to form a friendship. And I'm very grateful for that, as I am for Frank.
That's a great first movie to be a part of. And then, of course, you mentioned Forbidden Planet. Did you have any interaction with Walter Pidgeon or Leslie Nielsen?
Oh, yeah, we talked all the time, and we're very friendly. And then Leslie came and played guest star roles in the Virginian 4 or 5 or 6 times. He did a lot of different characters on a Virginian. And funny story about that, in one of those he was playing a Bowery bum with a derby hat and a cigar butt with a toothpick through it, like he picked it up out of the gutter and was smoking it. And he was standing by the side of a road in Wyoming, hitchhiking, trying to get a ride someplace.
Yeah.
And I rode by on my horse that I've been riding for years and years without any trouble. He was a wonderful motion picture horse and just absolutely trustworthy. And I got Leslie up on the back of my horse, and he had a little parasol with him, a little lady's parasol. And he opened that umbrella, and just like that, both of our asses were on the ground. He knocked us off so fast, you couldn't believe it. And then he just stood there and looked at us. He was not about to have that umbrella opening over his head. I guess he thought it was a cooler or something, but whatever it was, he looked me and Leslie off in the dirt right there, just flatter and pancake. You couldn't believe it. I never even offered to buck before in years and years, and there he was, kicked up his heels and knocked his sweat all over the saddle. So that's kind of an interesting anecdote. Speaking of Leslie, he was a great actor and a great friend, and I miss him. I'm so sorry he's gone. I'm so happy he had that great second career with his comedy motion pictures at Police Story 2.5 or whatever it was. Those wonderful stories that he did. Comedy movies, and he got into great demand and had a second starring career. I think he did very well. Probably did better out of the second career than he did out of the first. So that was a good ending for Leslie. A good second act for Leslie.
It sure was. Yeah. When you worked with Elvis in Love Me Tender, did you see him overwhelmed by his sudden fame?
Not at all. He was a very serious young man, and he wanted desperately to become a good motion picture actor. And he was constantly asking us, what to do and how to achieve freedom in front of the camera and all that kind of thing. And he wanted to know how to learn his lines, and I told him that I never learned lines, I learned to play. I learned the whole thing from beginning to end, the first word to the last, and that way I'm not going to make a mistake, because I know everybody's lines. So if we get in trouble in a scene, maybe I can get us out of it. But that didn't work, that works sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. But that's what I advised him, and he went ahead and did that. And it helped him, I think. And, as a matter of fact, I think Love Me Tender was probably the best picture he ever made.
Yeah.
The rest of them were kind of exploitation pictures, just get cobbled together with him doing some singing and a lot of pretty girls and very, very light on the script. I mean, his scripts were kind of cobbled together, but of course, he was such an amazing star. The pictures did well, but he could have been much better and done much better if the Colonel had let him play some regular parts. He wanted to audition for the Frank Sinatra role in From Here to Eternity, and they wouldn't let him do it. And the Colonel Colonel wouldn't let him do it because it wasn't an Elvis Presley picture. You know, it was a Burt Lancaster picture. Well, he did also want an Academy Award for it. So there's a balance that the Colonel didn't understand, and never let him spread his wings at all, which they should have. But these are things we all are pretty good at. Monday morning quarterbacking. I wasn't there making the decisions, but I sure thought he should have been able to try out for that role. And it wouldn't have hurt a thing if he hadn't gotten it, but the Colonel wouldn't let him touch it. So those are the things you see passing by the night in a career, as long as mine has been. And I'm only 85, so I'm heartened by the fact that Sir John Gielgud was working when he was 97.
Yeah.
Maybe I've got a chance at another picture even yet.
I hope so.
I get feelings every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that would be great to see you in a new film or maybe even a new series or something.
It would be terrific, but I haven't heard anybody yelling over the phone today anyway. So we'll have to see how it works out. Anyway, all in all, it's been a great ride. I've had a wonderful career. I'd like to have done a lot more stuff, and I could have, but it just didn't work out. But I'm very grateful for the wonderful work I was able to do and the wonderful opportunities that I was given and that I was able to work with. And the Virginian, of course, being paramount amongst all of them. And I'm so happy it's playing and young people are watching it. That's my big source of joy these days.
Mm-hmm. How was the experience making Pollyanna?
Oh, that was great. At the time, I thought it was way beneath my dignity. I thought I should be playing Machine Gun Kelly or something like that. But this picture turned out to be one of the most classic films I've ever been in, and they play it every day somewhere on television, and people love it and always will love it because it's the story of an optimistic little girl. And, you know, optimistic little girls are not really the main diet of an unemployed gunfighter, but there I was, and I had a wonderful time doing it. And I had a wonderful time working with Dick Egan. He was one of my dearest friends, and we did Lovely Tender together, and then, of course, Pollyanna. So it was great to work with him a second time. And I miss him as well. We're losing him right and left. We lost Stuart Whitman and
Lyle Wagoneer.
Lyle Wagoner just in one day earlier this week. They were both close friends of mine, and I miss them both. That's what happens when you get old.
Yeah, but
anyway,
they lived a long time.
I have, and I hope to live a lot longer.
Yeah. You got to not only work with Randolph Scott on his last movie, but it was also Sam Peckinpah's first movie, Ride the High Country.
I don't think it was Sam's first movie.
As a director, it was, but like for other things, he had done more.
It what?
It was his first movie as a director, but he had worked on Invasion on the Body Snatchers and a couple other movies doing crew stuff before that.
Oh, this was his first movie as a director? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, he did a marvelous job, and the picture stands on itself. It's a classic Western, and we made that picture in 1962, and I started the Virginian just very shortly after that, a month or so after that. And so I was not able to work with Sam anymore because whenever he did a picture, I wasn't available. You know, I was doing the Virginian, but I know we would have worked together more if I had not had the Virginian. Mm-hmm. But then I'm very grateful to have the Virginian. So, you know, one hand washes together. I was so impressed with Sam. He was a genius with the film, with the with the camera and the placement and the effects he got and the emotions he could bring out of the audience with the moves he made. So I think he's one of the best directors I ever worked with, and I enjoyed the experience immensely. Never had any problems at all with him, and we both were in love with the material, and it worked very well for us, I think. Extremely, extremely effective Western. It was great.
Yeah.
I just talked to Mary Hartley a week or two ago. She's still working. Yeah, she's still in Hollywood and still working from time to time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she's had a good career out of that. That was her first picture. And of course, and she's done a lot of things since then. She did a lot of Virginians as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we pretty close to wrapping it up here.
Oh, yes, we are. I just wanted to ask a couple quick things.
Okay.
Just a couple quick things. When you did the Virginian, when you first got it, were you familiar with the Gary Cooper movie?
I was, and I had also read the book when I was in high school. So I was familiar with the character. I'm familiar with all the film versions of it. And I had actually done a 30-minute version of it for Columbia Films about 3 years earlier, which never sold to the network. So if it had, it would have put the kibosh on the 90-minute version. So I'm very happy it didn't sell. But I played the Virginian in both television versions, one that didn't sell and one that lasted for 9 years. So I had the character coming and going. It got quite a different take on the Virginian. In the first one, he was kind of a southern fop, and he had a lace cuffs and lace shirt front and boots on the outside of his pants. And very fancy dude. He was way too fancy to be a cowhand. So, yeah, we did the 90-minute version. I did my very best to represent the working cowhand. And I've talked to working cowhands, a lot of them, and they said I did good. So I'm gratified by that.
Nice. How was working with the cast, like Lee J. Cobb, Doug McClure, Clu Gallagher?
Got along famously with everybody. I liked them all, and I enjoyed working with every one of them. Of course, Doug McClure was a standout, and I've been watching the show here quite a bit lately, and I've seen quite a few that I hadn't ever seen before that he was starring in. He did a marvelous job in many, many episodes. So he was truly a great partner and a great friend, my best friend. We got to be best friends as time went on, and we got closer and closer and closer. And I miss him every day. He died way too young. He's only 56, I think, when he passed. So that's too bad.
Yeah.
He got the cancer, and then 5 months later he was gone. So that was one of those stories. Anyway.
Yeah, I've interviewed his daughter, Tawny McClure. She's a sweet lady.
Oh yes, she is. She sure is. No, I started working with her when she was just a little bitty girl. She worked on a Virginian that we had a bunch of school children, and she was one of them. So
I think
we've been friends all her life.
She'll be happy with that I got to talk with you.
Oh yeah, well, she's a wonderful gal, and I see her every chance I get when I'm in LA. But I haven't been there in quite a while, but I'm due to go. I try to get out there before too long. Because of the virus, we don't know where anybody's going, you know?
Yeah, we just don't know
what anybody's going to do. We better stay home until we get the all clear on it. It's the main thing, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if everything goes right, though, You will be at, Wanamaker's Tulsa Arms Show, April 4th to the 5th?
No, that's canceled.
Oh, that's canceled. Okay.
That's been canceled, yeah. The first show that we still think we may go to is the one at the end of April, which is in San Angelo, Texas. And I have a feeling that's going to be canceled too. But check the website, the Virginian.net, Virginian.net, and you will see my schedule and what I'm appearing from now on. The next one is in June in Tunica, Mississippi, and we'll see if that goes or not. June may be too early. They may cancel that one, but we'll pick them all up next year. The Tulsa Gun Show I'm going to do in November, if the all clear is sounded by then. So we'll pick it all back up, and everybody's going to have to pick everything back up when we can get out of our houses and go to work again, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Let's hope.
Well, listen, you take care. I hope you're safe out there. Do you have a family?
I got my mother here, yes.
Well, you be careful and take care of her and stay out of the line of fire, okay?
I sure will. James, you take care of yourself. This was an amazing honor. Thank you, and have a great day, and I hope I get to see you in movies.
Okay, well, I hope you get to see you in person one of these days. You take care of yourself.
You too, sir. Have a great day.
Okay. You bet. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. James Drury. Ain't he a cool dude? Class act, gentleman, all the way, Hollywood legend. It was such a great honor that I got to talk with him, and I'm just so blessed. I know it's cliche, but it's true. I am just so blessed. Thank you so much, Karen, for fixing this up. His personal assistant. Thank you, Karen, for fixing this interview up. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes!